Hi everyone, Jessica Alba here. Welcome back to It Starts with Mom Live. Our next session, Educate, will bring together moms and health experts to discuss all things as it relates to moms and moms-to-be around health and wellness. Stay tuned for this next panel, and I'll see you soon.
Hello, I'm Dr. Siobhan Dolan, and I'm delighted to join everyone today to talk about a really important topic, which is conception and pregnancy in the time of COVID-19. Our world has changed so much in the past few months, and throughout it all, women are still excited to conceive, to be pregnant, to start their families, to enlarge their families. And we as OBGYNs want to be here. We want to take care of women, we want to take care of families, and we want to help educate everybody about how to do it safely. So March of Dimes is working hard to get out good information, to learn new information, to research and get good information to women. And like I said, I'm delighted to be part of a discussion today to start to get that out to women, out to families, and also to learn from women and families about their experience. So as I said, my great pleasure to be here. And I also want to introduce my colleague, Ilda Hadzimatovic, who is going to join us today and talk about her personal experience. So Ilda, it's great to see you. How are you?
Hi, I'm good. It's great to see you. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here. And perfect timing. I'm in my week 20 of my pregnancy, so it's a great time to discuss this.
That is amazing. So you're actually living the experience of pregnancy and COVID-19, eh?
I actually am. It's as real as it gets.
Yeah. Did you ever think, like when you first started your pregnancy and your prenatal care, we were pre-COVID, right? It wasn't even a word we knew, right? COVID hadn't even entered our vocabulary.
I mean, it was definitely unknown, and even if you knew about it, it was just so minimum, and it wasn't as scary as it is now. And it was something that you just assumed would, pass within a couple of weeks, and unfortunately, it hasn't.
Right. So here we are. And I guess one of the first questions that I work with pregnant patients all the time, and one of the first questions is, like, how are we going to do prenatal care? Like, do I come in or do I not come in? And should I come into the office, and what's the risk of COVID-19? But if I don't come into the office, how am I going to get my prenatal care, and what are the risks there? So can you tell me a little bit about your experience, how things started for you and how they've changed in COVID-19?
Oh, I mean, they've been completely different from, let's say my first pregnancy, where I felt so comfortable to go to the hospital, even for something as small as, pains and aches with the first pregnancy that scare you, you kind of run to see your doctor. With this one, it's more of, okay, let me process this. Let me, see if it's something that I even need to go to the doctor for. Can this be, handled over the phone, over a video chat? And it's definitely really scary. And even walking into hospitals, it's a completely different, situation. You have masks, you have gloves, you have people escorting you to your, doctor, and it feels like it's in a movie, but it's our reality, unfortunately, at the moment.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I just wanted to point out a few things from your story, which I think are really important for women to keep in mind. One is to follow all the precautions. So definitely to wear a mask, to wear gloves, to limit contact, to avoid exposures. And we want everyone to carry out those activities, but certainly while you're pregnant, we encourage women to follow those guidelines. The other thing, and this is what we're doing in New York, so I'm curious how it resonates with your experience, but what we've done here in New York, and we're in a big health system, so we have a lot going on by telehealth. So as an example, when a patient starts her prenatal care, what we call the new OB visit, which is a lengthy conversation about your history and your previous pregnancies and, you know, what your plan is for this pregnancy, that all happens by phone, either by phone or by video. And then the electronic medical record is filled out and so forth. So all that history taking happens by phone. And then we have a first prenatal visit on site, and that's usually an ultrasound for the first trimester. We take vital signs to see how folks are doing in terms of their blood pressure and so forth. And then we also have the opportunity for physical exam or any direct contact that needs to be carried out with the provider. So we're doing that at around 12 or 13 weeks of pregnancy. And then there's phone visits in between. And then at about 20 weeks, we have what's called an anatomy ultrasound, where we look at all the structures of the baby. And again, we have women come in for that visit, have their blood pressure checked and so forth. And so those two are kind of the anchor in-person visits for the first kind of half of pregnancy, but everything else goes on by phone. And I have to say, it's going really well. And women are really engaging on the phone and the video. So what does that look like your experience, and what is the phone and video experience like for you?
So, I mean, it does. I feel like it's also very personal. You're sitting, you know, with your doctor, whether it's over camera or in person, and she can see your, you know, facial expressions, hear your concerns in your voice. So I really do feel like it's not much different than seeing, you know, the doctor in person. Of course, if there's an ultrasound, if there's blood work that needs to be done, you know, that's a whole different experience.
Right.
But as something as, you know, your first prenatal visit, or, you know, your few follow-ups to get the history, it really does feel the same.
No, that's great. And yeah, you raised another good point there, the blood work. So we do these on-site visits, we'll do the ultrasound, the vital signs, and the blood work, as you point out, again, around 12, 13 weeks, and then around 20 weeks. And then as people get further along in the pregnancy, maybe again at 28 weeks, the patient will come in, a mom-to-be will come in for the lab work. And then towards the end of pregnancy, we really target it for how the situation's going. If there's a high-risk situation, if blood pressures are elevated, if there's concerns, we will ask them to come in more frequently so we can be sure we're taking good care of them. So I think for you, it sounds like you had a high-risk pregnancy last time. So how are you feeling about entering into the second half of pregnancy?
So that's the one thing that I guess I'm a little concerned about. I had it with, you know, my first daughter, and the only reason they're looking at this pregnancy as a high risk is because of, you know, my first pregnancy and how it played out. You know, I'm lucky and fortunate that this pregnancy isn't considered high risk. They just want to be, you know, safe with everything. So they do want to see me, you know, more often for non-stress tests and, you know, ultrasounds, just to kind of monitor the fluid and the baby's heart rate and so forth. It does scare me that I have to, you know, have that visit to the hospital once a week. The clinic where I initially went to was converted to a COVID-19, you know, clinic, and now I actually have to go to the, you know, hospital itself. And it does scare me that I have to expose myself once or twice a week to this virus. And, you know, at this point, I feel like I don't really have that choice of not to.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I hear what you're saying. I think also what you pointed out of about clinics and hospitals, parts of hospitals being, you know, changed over and used for COVID clinics. I think that is probably going to be a little bit of our new normal, right? Because hospitals and communities are going to have to respond to the changing dynamics in their community. And as we see, you know, increase in COVID cases in regional areas, we'll have to be using some space that might have been previously used for pregnancy-related activities. So I think that kind of points out what I think you're demonstrating too, is like lots of flexibility and lots of resilience and ability to say, you know, this really wasn't what I expected, but I'm going to try to lean into it, and I'm going to try to see what I can learn and educate myself and work with my providers. And I feel like when folks are able to do that, it's sort of a new connection that can form, which I have to say as a provider at times has felt really like engaging and reassuring to me. And do you feel that at all? Like that you're kind of connected with your provider in a new way, that you're both going through something new together?
I actually do. I feel like I'm more connected, you know, with my provider this time around than with my first pregnancy, because I see her so much more often, you know, through video chats and then in person on top of that. Well, with my first daughter, it was just in the appointments, and sometimes I didn't even get to see her in those because, sometimes they're not required. So I definitely do feel like I see her a lot more. We talk a lot more. And it's great. It's a nice connection to have and they're always available, so it's definitely really nice.
Yeah, that's great. Something I also feel as a provider, I really enjoy seeing people's families because the kids will come in and the mom will be like, no. And I'm like, no, bring them in. I want to see them. Like, I really enjoy it.
And
I really
deliver that, that first or second or third baby as well. So it's nice to catch up.
No, that's right. And the connection is really interesting to see people in their home environment. Like even like the talk show hosts at night, like I love seeing them, and I love when the kids come in, and it just gives like a richer experience of the relationship. And I think I have to say I think that's gonna help women through their pregnancies, and just having that connection and the ability to learn and oddly access. It's different, right? It's not going in, but there's a sort of new way to access care in telehealth that then actually may give you more like quote unquote FaceTime, even though it's via video.
Yeah, definitely. And it's a nice little positive to have during this time, just to have that connection with your provider and be more personal. And you're kind of inviting that person to your home, every time you give them a call, to your family. And it's a really nice connection.
Yes, for sure. So when you think about, that sort of 40-week time frame, 39 to 40 weeks, we hope we get you to 39 weeks and then you're ready to have your baby. Anticipating labor and delivery and, experiences your friends might have recounted. I know there was some concern about how to manage infection control and how to manage partners and how to have a safe space on labor and delivery at the same time as being mindful of the support women need. So what have you heard from friends, and what are you expecting as you head towards labor and delivery in a couple of months?
So the only concern that a lot of, my mom friends and on my blog that we discuss is the sad reality of not having your family there and the siblings and the grandparents there to celebrate the new birth. I didn't get to have that experience with my first daughter because she was in a really critical condition when she was born. So I had no visitors. So I was really looking forward to, celebrating, with this pregnancy and having those visitors and all the flowers and the balloons, as silly as it is.
Yeah, no, it's fun.
I really hope that, by then things do change, and if they don't, then we'll just kind of roll with it and make the best out of the situation that we can, because at the end of the day, the baby's safety and health is more important than flowers and balloons. So
yeah, for sure. I mean, I think it's okay. Like flowers and balloons are really important. And I think it's, it's a little bit of a loss that those experiences may not happen. But, I think what we've learned from social media is there's other ways to celebrate and bring the joy together, and the safety, especially in this scenario. It's often for the grandparents, right? That we don't want the grandparents exposed through being in that community setting. And then hopefully down the road, those celebrations of the growing family can occur. I think one of the other questions that women ask about getting ready for the later part of pregnancy is, what can I get at home? And what I've experienced and what we've been helping our patients get here in New York are a few things. One is a good scale, so you can follow your weight. And if you start to develop any complications late in pregnancy, like preeclampsia as an example, which can manifest as high blood pressure and rapid weight gain, you have the tools to learn about that. So a good scale, a blood pressure cuff is something that women who might have pre-existing hypertension or maybe at risk from late pregnancy complications like preeclampsia might want to get at home, so you could have some blood pressure readings. You can monitor, get to know your baseline blood pressure, and then be able to call into a provider if it turns out that your blood pressure is elevating and you're developing symptoms. And then the other one, thermometer is really important to have now to be able to check for signs of COVID, and fever monitoring is going to be important. And then for some folks, a fingertip O2 sat monitor, which is, pretty readily available. But basically, if one develops symptoms of COVID, like cough, fever, shortness of breath, for the most part, folks, pregnant or not, should not go into the hospital unless they get seriously ill. But if your oxygen saturation starts to really drop, that's the time to go in. So that can be another useful, just item you can pick up and have at home as you're heading towards the second half of pregnancy, so you can work with your provider. Have those come up for you at all, or any of your friends thinking about those?
I do. I mean, I personally have the thermometer and the scale and all of that stuff. But I feel like every mom that I do know right now, every woman that's pregnant at the moment, they're just a lot more precautious, than your standard non-pregnant woman. So I think they do take every precaution possible, recommended by their provider, recommended by another mom that's pregnant that they might not, think about before. So I do really think that a lot of these moms are really precautious and taking care of themselves a lot more than they may have even with their first pregnancy, just because of, where we are right now.
Yeah, for sure. And just that heightened awareness, right, of your health, and to be aware, like I said, I didn't previously take my temperature every day, but now I do, right? Because I'm coming into the hospital, and I want to follow guidelines, and I want to make sure I'm, in a safe place to interact with patients. And so now I got actually one of the sort of non-contact thermometers. So I take my temperature every day, and it's just good to have the tools you need, so we can all follow precautions. So that I think that awareness has really been out there for everybody, and for pregnant women included.
Definitely.
The other question, and this is something that luckily you're beyond the first trimester, but women who might have COVID symptoms early in pregnancy, and then might have concerns about fever early in pregnancy, which is something that we have concerns about. Have any of your friends had that experience?
I haven't had anyone that I know of experience any of the symptoms, but that is a question I wanted to ask you. What would, let's say, a husband, a partner comes home and he's experiencing symptoms. How would a expecting mom handle a situation like that, if she can't isolate herself from her partner?
Yeah, so definitely, actually, there are families where, their folks are kind of quarantining, quote unquote, in the same house. I'm not pretending it's easy, don't get me wrong, but if, as an example, your partner goes out in an essential job function and comes home and has symptoms, they should probably try to stay in a separate room, or like one side of the house or basement, to try to, just have infection control distance between people. Because again, we want pregnant women to avoid exposure for sure. And then if pregnant women develop a fever, because we know that fevers, especially early in pregnancy when the organs are forming, are concerning. So to treat that fever down and to take a fever reducer like Tylenol, and to be in touch with their provider. So this is not to be alarmist, but just to point out that fever is an associated symptom with COVID-19, and that it is a concern early in pregnancy, as I said, when the organs are forming. So we want women to be particularly aware of that. Other things to remember too is the routine stuff you did before COVID-19, we should still be doing, right? Like taking a prenatal vitamin with folic acid, right? Mm-hmm. Making sure that you've run through all your medications with your provider, so that prior to pregnancy, you're on the safest set of medications, and then you can continue those throughout your pregnancy. And that actually brings up another question, which is mental health concerns, because certainly if you didn't feel stress and anxiety before COVID-19 and before pregnancy, now you have two basically powerful reasons, both, being pregnant, COVID-19, and then there's also the piece of the social isolation, which I think is a little bit of an underappreciated stressor. Yeah, what do you think of that?
It's definitely difficult. I mean, I'm used to seeing my mom and, my sister and all my girlfriends, and, we're used to having play dates, and it helps. It kind of separates you from the reality, and you kind of just, you have that little support system there with you physically. So it's a little hard not being able to see, my parents and, the grandparents and the sister, and, we try to keep in touch, of course, over, FaceTime and video chat, and we try to communicate as much as possible, but it's definitely hard not having somebody there with you constantly, just to kind of be that little support system with you physically. But, you do your best and you communicate as much as you can, and you kind of take it from there.
Yeah, for sure. And I think what you point out, like FaceTiming, like to just keep in touch with people, people say reach out. And I have to say, I have friends from all over the country, like med school friends of mine and so forth. And a lot of times when New York was on the news as being an epicenter and a friend would reach out, like it was very meaningful to me. It really touched me and it made a difference. And so I try to remember that now too, and to reach out to friends I have that are pregnant or someone, another group that is under a lot of stress, I think, are women who are seeking fertility treatments, because let's say you had in your mind, like, we're going to go ahead with the fertility treatments in 2020, right? And, a couple might have saved money, planned their schedules, put a lot of time and effort into getting ready for fertility treatments and plan to start their family in 2020. And now this happens. So, fertility treatments are largely gone on hold right now. Most fertility centers have closed shop, so to speak, or put women on hold. But I know that's an added stressor. Do you have any friends in that boat, in that experience?
I do have a few blogger friends in my circle that, are going through it. And I've had a lot of moms that had to have cancel, egg transplants and going in for their treatment. And it's sad, it's something that they've been looking for. I know, some moms that have been looking towards this for years. And now it's at a time where they said, this is just not the time, and we're going to have to wait a few months and take it from there. And they're devastated. And, it's understandable.
For sure. And I think, those are the kind of friends to reach out to a little bit, right? Because you're not necessarily going to get on FaceTime and be like, my fertility treatments were canceled. It may not be something for sure that you'd want to talk about publicly, but the loss of that and the disappointment, I think, is real. And I think, the more we can help each other out, I know your blog is, talking to women about the fact that they're moms and sisters and daughters, and like all the roles we play to each other in this community of women, I think is incredibly important. Men too, partners too. I'm not leaving anybody out, but some of the unique experiences that we have as women, especially like we were just talking about, that this was your 2020 year to undergo your fertility treatment and start your family, and just to help women as friends to each other and sisters to each other to get through that disappointment and the anxiety, and think ahead to the future when we will be able to have fertility treatments again. But I think support's super helpful in these times.
Just to kind of let everybody know, especially, the women during this time, we're in this together. We might not be in the same situation as you are, but we're definitely in this together.
Right, for sure. And so I can definitely, I enjoyed reading your blogs and I love all your supportive messages. So I will look forward to continuing to check out your blog and follow your pregnancy through this time, Ilda. And I wish you the very, very best and a healthy pregnancy in a bunch of months. And look forward to seeing the baby. And then, and I also wanted to just, remind folks that March of Dimes has lots of great material. We want to educate. We want to be providers of good, solid information. So it starts with mom.org is our website, where we are providing great information for women on pregnancy and prenatal care and how we can help support moms. So Ilda, I just want to give you a few minutes to wrap up here and let folks know all the great work you're doing.
Yeah, no, thank you so much. I mean, I'm honestly honored to be here and, to have this discussion with you. I think it's so important to just talk about it. Since day one with my blog, I've been devoted to covering topics that a lot of people are either, ashamed to do or scared to do, or they're not comfortable to do. So I think it's just so important to have an open conversation, an open mindset, and an open heart to every woman out there to, cover topics that they might be even scared to question. So this was so great. And I really do hope that, I continue to write about this, and we kind of just got to pull together and get through this together and talk about it and ask questions and just, we'll get through it. I know we will.
For sure. And I think, the joy of a new family member is just absolutely wonderful. So I will continue to follow your pregnancy and look forward to the joy of celebrating the birth of your daughter come the summer months. And in the meantime, I wish you and I wish everyone a safe and healthy pregnancy. Be well, be safe. And again, check out itstartswithmom.org for more information about pregnancy and what you can do to stay safe.
Thank you, Dr. Dolan, and thank you for everything that you do.
Oh, thank you. It's been my pleasure. Have a great day, everybody.
Thank you.
Here we go.
Okay, I'm ready. Is it?
Here we go.
It says I'm pregnant. Clear Blue digital pregnancy test with Smart Countdown gives unmistakably clear results written in words. 99% accurate, absolute clarity when you need it most.
Welcome back, it's Kelly Levesque, and it is time to go through one of my favorite options for a prenatal, postnatal lunch for moms and moms-to-be. One of the things you'll know if you have young children is that it's really hard to take a minute for yourself to eat. So a handheld lunch item is a great option. I love lettuce wraps, I love grain-free wraps, and so today I'm going to show you some of my favorite combinations that are really healthy to make sure that you're nourishing yourself and your baby. So first and foremost, you want to choose between the type of wrap you want. If you went for a tortilla, I recommend a grain-free almond flour tortilla. Like you learned in the first video for the smoothie recipe, almonds are a great source of vitamin E and something that you'll find in your prenatal. When in doubt, always take a look at the back of your prenatal. You'll notice that certain nutrients are higher than others. That's because they probably have been shown in research that women have a deficiency in these nutrients. Things like I said, omega-3, B12, choline, folate. They're really important to either making a baby or supporting your body to be the most nourished it can be. So pick between an almond flour grain-free tortilla or a lettuce cup. What's great about lettuce, as you know, is that it's coming with foliage. Remember what we learned in the first video, but it's also coming with magnesium, and magnesium is a cofactor in over 300 enzymatic processes in the body. So it really supports all of these chemical processes that are happening when we're making a baby. So think about greens and how you can get those in. If you aren't feeling like those bitter greens like a kale or a spinach, you don't feel like some of the really fragrant herbs, a butter lettuce, a romaine, something that's light and easy is still going to get you some hydration, some added water, plus the magnesium. It's also coming with K2, and K2 is a nutrient you'll see on your prenatals as well. So pick your lettuce cup or your tortilla and let's load it up. So first and foremost, we want to add a healthy protein. If you have canned salmon or Tetra Pak, or pouched salmon, if you're looking for wild Alaskan salmon, sockeye salmon is great. That guarantees that it's never been farmed. This is a really easy thing to keep around. You can open a few cans or open a few pouches, mix it up with a little olive oil, celery, herbs if you want, capers, or you could just mix it up with a healthy avocado or olive oil based mayonnaise. So keeping a salmon salad around in the fridge is easy. You know you have a protein. You're getting vitamin D, you're getting B12, you're getting protein. It's a really, really healthy bodybuilding protein. So you can either start with salmon, or if you would like to do more of a Thai, you could do some shredded chicken. A great thing to do with the shredded chicken is just put it in your slow cooker, allow it to cook, and keep that shredded chicken in your fridge. Something that you can easily grab for lunch. Another option would be to hard boil eggs. So we're always looking for ways to have proteins around without having to take the time to make ourselves lunch, because you're either going to be breastfeeding or dealing with a brand new baby. So you really want to just have these nutrients around. And they're also really great to keep around when you're pregnant. As you learned, eggs are a great source of choline. This is a B vitamin that's in the egg yolk. So don't ditch the yolks. It's not the time to do that. You really want all those B vitamins. Also, the yolk is really it's a multivitamin. So load it up with your protein of choice, and then pick a healthy fat. So avocado is a great source of vitamin E, as you know. And another thing to add would be a tahini or some chopped nuts for crunch. You want textures in your lettuce cup, something that's going to make it feel decadent and delicious. So I have a little turmeric, tahini, and some cashews. And now you want to add all of your fiber into your cup. So great options would be some sliced cucumber, maybe some carrot, jicama, and then if you're feeling up for it, maybe some mint and basil with some black sesame seeds. And we have the perfect little handheld lunch for you right there. So this is a great way to keep it fresh. It's like a salad, but way better than that, because you're probably not feeling like a salad right now. Something handheld that you can bite into, that's loaded with all the nutrients your body needs. Now, if you aren't feeling like the lettuce cup, as I said, let's build a tortilla. So maybe you're going with some wild salmon, and you're keeping it simple with some wild salmon, some avocado, and a few lettuce cup leafy greens, and we just wrap that up. So get inspired to stock your fridge with pre-prepared proteins, make a few bulk dressings at the beginning of the week, have the crunchy bits and the sliced veggies, and you can easily wrap up lunch in minutes, and you don't have to worry about the time to sit down, and you can eat and breastfeed at the same time. So I hope this helps you guys stay healthy on your pregnancy journey and post-pregnancy to feel your best and nourish your body and your little ones. So have a beautiful rest of your virtual conference, and I'm wishing you all the best on your journey. Again, my name is Kelly Levesque. I'm a holistic nutritionist and author based here in Los Angeles. I'm here to support you. Please reach out with any questions you have, wishing you such a beautiful journey. My heart is with you. Take care, you guys. Bye-bye.
Hi there, my name is Adrienne Griffin, and welcome to today's session on Mind, Body, Soul, Postpartum Reality. I'm so glad to be here today and to welcome two terrific new moms who are going to talk to us about what it's like to be a new mom. So my name is Adrienne Griffin, and I'm a mom to 3 college and high school age children, but I remember very clearly what it was like to be a new mom. So I'm thrilled to be talking about the realities of adjusting to motherhood. So first up is TV personality and fashion designer Whitney Port. Whitney, it's so great to meet you.
Hi, Adrienne. It's so nice to meet you as well. I am so honored to be here talking about this. When you guys reached out, I was just like, oh my God. I mean, I know all the work that March of Dimes does, and just to be part of this and to spread the word and to make postpartum depression not such a stigma, I'm just honored to be here to talk about.
Great, and we're so glad to have you. And up next is Tamara Bowen, who is a working mom balancing her career as a partner in a consulting firm with a brand new baby boy. Well, I guess not brand new, 10 months old. How's it going, Tamara?
It's going. This is certainly unprecedented times, and the challenges of being a working mom have never felt more real than right now. But I'm also thrilled to be here. The number of times I think, in the first 4 months after Maverick was born, I said, gosh, I wish that my friends or, someone would have told me that it was going to be like this. So many times I said that. And so I'm so thrilled to, be a part of this conversation and help any new mom to talk about this.
Great. Well, we're so glad to have both of you here. And, we all know, or those of us who are mothers know, that it can be challenging to be a mom. Sometimes people find it a little bit more challenging, those of us who maybe experienced anxiety or depression after our children was born. And Whitney, I know you've written about this on your blog. What kinds of things have you seen and what have you shared?
We have discuss so many different topics when it comes to becoming a mom. When I first started out being pregnant, I was not as excited as I thought I should be. I think you get these news and you expect this huge excitement that you see everybody else having. And so there was a lot of shame and guilt, even starting from the beginning before I had even had a baby. So my husband and I started a series on YouTube called I Love My Baby, But I Hate My Pregnancy. And we were really scared to put it out at first, or at least I was, because it was the first time that I was going to be sharing all these, really scary negative things that I was thinking about being pregnant. And I was just worried that everybody was going to think I was a monster. But we put it out there, and it turns out that so many people actually felt the same way. And so we started this series, and we've been doing it now for almost 4 years. We started when I was pregnant, and now Sunny's almost 3 years old. And we talk about all different things, from my breastfeeding struggles to, feeling like I maybe had postpartum depression, to creating a work-life balance, to really finding my identity as a mom and as a career woman. So we've discussed all of it, and we've realized that it's just so important to talk about these things, because talking about them normalizes them, and then we don't feel so alone. And being a mom, a new mom especially, can be a very isolating thing. So it's important that we have these conversations.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I've heard so many women say, I love my baby, but I hate the job of being a mother, right? And we can say that. We can have both of those things. We can love part of it and also not love part of it. So glad you're sharing 100%. All that information on your, right. And we have to really talk about it. So, I suffered a lot of, after one of my children was born, and had a really, really hard time finding help. And, it was things we didn't talk about. So, Tamara, what was your experience like? How was it when you had your baby, and how were you able to find help?
Yeah, absolutely. And I just want to say I'm going to check out this YouTube channel, because I felt the same about my pregnancy. It's like so nice to hear that. I always thought I was going to be this mom that just loved being pregnant. It was going to be the best 9 months. And I can honestly say I did not enjoy pretty much any of it. So
me either. Yeah.
But in the postpartum stage, I struggled with anxiety, and I remember the first time that I left the house, which was about 2 weeks after Maverick was born, and I just went to the gas station to get some Gatorade, and I panicked. I had this moment where I just froze, and I'd never experienced anything like that kind of anxiety, and I didn't know what to do. I was scared. It was just an insane feeling, and nothing that I could have ever been prepared for. I mean, simply just going to the gas station. So I think that was the moment where in leading up to that, I had a roller coaster of emotions, but was feeling like maybe this is normal, maybe it's not. I don't want to say I can't handle this, right? It's stressful enough on everyone. I don't want to now tell my husband that I am, going to cause more problems and you need to help me too. And so what really helped me was talking to my friends that were also moms and asking, what was their experience like, and sharing what I was feeling and thinking, and kind of getting this affirmation from them that they experienced similar things, not exactly the same, but similar, was kind of eye-opening, and saying, okay, maybe this is okay, maybe this is normal. And that gave me kind of the courage and confidence to then, talk to my doctor about it as well. And just from there, I really kind of got the help that I needed.
Yeah, well, I'm so sorry that you had such a tough experience, but glad that you're putting some words around it. And, we often hear people talk about postpartum depression, or you'll hear the term PPD. But a lot of times, as you pointed out, Tamara, it's really a lot of anxiety, right? In fact, we think the anxiety is much more common than the depression, and researchers are really starting to look into this. But what's really important to recognize is that these illnesses, they're truly illnesses. Anxiety and depression are the most common complications of pregnancy and childbirth. Up to 1 in 5 women will experience these issues. And, we just don't talk about it, right? It's okay, we can talk about everything from the neck down, but from the neck up, we just don't want to talk about what's going on there. And so I'm so glad to hear you ladies putting words around this. And, when others will hear this, they may recognize that maybe something's not right, and they might reach out for help. So, a lot of times, again, we hear about postpartum depression, but it can be feelings of being overwhelmed, having a panic attack, a lot of feelings of anger and irritability. Moms saying, gosh, I wish I never had a baby. This was a mistake. And oftentimes we hear moms say things like, I'm such a bad mom. My family would be better off without me. And, this is when we want to make sure that we're really getting moms the help that they need. So a couple of other great organizations. The March of Dimes has information about these issues, but I want to throw out Postpartum Support International, and their website is postpartum.net. Their mission is to help women who are experiencing postpartum depression and related illnesses, and they run some groups and have connections to local resources and therapists. So again, that's Postpartum Support International. And so, we're running out, we're coming to the end here. I did want to ask Tamara a question. Why do you think it's hard for moms to talk about these things?
Yeah, I think, as women, as moms, we tend to naturally be caregivers, and we want to do it all. And we don't want to ever say that we can't handle something. I know for me, that's absolutely the number one reason why, I didn't want to say I needed help. I mean, one, I didn't necessarily know what was going on with me, right? You're feeling all of these things, but you're also feeling really alone. But on top of that, I just didn't want to become another problem, and I didn't want to not be able to handle it. And so, we talk about mom guilt that's out there all the time, and that's a very real thing. And, you feel like there's no time to necessarily take care of me because everything's about the baby right now, right? There's this new time after the baby comes there's so much joy, of course, but there's so much learning curve, and you don't know what you're doing. And so you're so focused on making sure that the baby is taken care of that you don't focus on yourself. And I think that, that only adds to the problem, of course, but that keeps you from maybe speaking up because you don't have time, or you don't want the focus to be on you. You want it to all be on the baby.
Yeah. I mean, can I add something to that too? I don't know if we have enough time.
Absolutely. Sure.
But I feel the same. Like, I thought the baby was going to come out and we were going to lock eyes and like, Can You Feel the Love Tonight was going to start playing, and it was just going to be this immediate connection. And I didn't have that. And so the guilt started right away. And I was like, why don't I have that? You know, you're taught that the mom is supposed to be this nurturing, compassionate, like all giving human. And when those natural inclinations don't happen, you feel really bad about yourself. And I think then feeling bad about yourself can make you sad, and the sadness can spiral, and then you can really lose sight of being a mom. And it was hard for me because then I wasn't enjoying my time being a mom. And so it's so important to have these conversations and to open up and to really listen to your gut and in your intuition and do what feels right for you in those first 6 months, and take care of yourself first, because your baby can feel it if you are not the best version of yourself, or maybe not the best version of yourself, because you're probably not going to be the best version of yourself in the first 6 months to a year of your child's lives. But like, it is so important that we take care of ourselves first in order to be there for the rest of our family. And that can look, that can be in so many different forms. For me, as soon as I stopped breastfeeding, I was able to kind of regain confidence back. I wasn't stressed as much. I was able to balance things more. And so looking back on it, I wish that I wouldn't have put so much pressure on myself to breastfeed. And hopefully if there is a number 2, I won't do that to myself again. And I will be able to enjoy those first 6 months more.
Yeah. So, there's this new term that people are using called the 4th trimester. So we think about the months, right, of baby's life where baby adjusting to be outside in the world, and mom is adjusting to becoming a mother. I mean, women have to recover from the physical and emotional demands of pregnancy and labor and delivery and becoming a new mom. There's a lot of change that goes on. And we think that, like you said, the baby's going to be born and we just know naturally what to do. And that's not always the case. And so I think we need to give ourselves the grace to travel, right, go through this transition, reach out for the help that we need. It used to be like my mom said when she had us, now this was, many, many, many years ago, but like her mom lived around the corner and her sister lived on the street and everybody was staying home with children. And so there was this natural sense of community and, everybody helped out and people taught the mother how to become a mother. And we really don't have that so much in our country. And so we do really need to reach out and get that help that we need, join moms groups, play groups, whatever you want to call them, and get that support we need. We do. We can't do this alone, right? We're not supposed to alone, and it takes a village and all of that. So just to close out, I'm going to ask each of you to just give me like a sentence or two about what do you think that we can do to help every mom make sure that pregnancy and childbirth and the postpartum period is a little bit easier for them. What are some ideas?
For sure. I mean, it's talking about it. Absolutely. Like I said, at the very start, I wish so much that someone, I don't know that you could never be fully prepared, right? But I wish so much that somebody would have talked to me about all of the feelings, right? I mean, that crash of hormones that happens after you have the baby, it leveled me. And I was so unprepared for that. And so then nobody talked to me about it. So it felt like maybe I'm not supposed to talk about it. I don't want to scare other new moms. I don't, but talking about it and to Whitney's point, right, there's so many great groups I've joined on Facebook, whether it be for breastfeeding or, dairy free or all of the things. And without those groups and those other moms, I never would have made it through. So share and talk and support each other. Don't go to Pinterest and that mom guilt, right? You have to be perfect and you have to do all of the things perfect. Like that will send you down a spiral. So, find the support networks that lift you up and share and just, support. It's all about support.
Absolutely. And how about you, Whitney?
Well, I would say, 100% first is talking about it, because if you don't talk about it, no one's going to hear you, and you may be dealing with something that other people are dealing with. And, it's just so important to be open about it and not to be afraid of people judging you. And that if they do judge you, that this is their issue and their insecurity, because mom shaming is just not something that should happen. The only moms that are shaming are the people, I think, that feel insecure about themselves as moms. So, to feel comfortable opening up. And also, there's this amazing doula. Her name is Erica Chitty Cohen, and I actually had her on my podcast, and she's written a couple books, and she really gives a good look at what pregnancy and that fourth trimester looks like, and really breaks it down for you in a non-judgmental and approachable way. So I highly recommend looking her up if you guys are looking for those kind of resources.
That's great to hear. And also, just Googling the fifth trimester, there's books that are out about this now. There's a new website that's out of the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill. They've got all courses looking at everything from mom's mental health, breastfeeding, and how to get sleep, just all kinds of resources. So we just want, if you're a new mom or a pregnant mom and you're not feeling like yourself, reach out for help. Reach out to Postpartum Support International or the March of Dimes or to a friend. It's okay to be perfect and help you get through all of this. So I just want to say thanks to the March of Dimes for putting on this great series of informational sessions about becoming a new mom. And I know even now it's really strange. We're in this crazy time of pandemic. We've seen that a lot of moms are very, very anxious about, are they going to get sick? Is their baby going to get sick? So again, reach out for information. The March of Dimes has got great information. The Centers for Disease Control, the CDC, has great information about being pregnant and giving birth during the time of the pandemic. So, arm yourself with information and don't be afraid to ask questions. So thanks, Whitney and Tamara. I really appreciate your time today. I'm sure that you've made life easier for some new moms out there.
I hope so. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, thank you. Absolutely.
I am looking forward to going to see my mom and visiting with her.
This time has really spoken to us and allowed us to read together as a family and do puzzles and take family walks every day and connect with nature and each other. And I think that that is so important and something we'll carry on for a lot longer than just this time right now.
part of our new normal is for people to have a little bit more awareness of their social distancing habits.
One thing I'd want to tell her this Mother's Day is just that, everything's going to be okay. I will see her very soon. I miss her so much, and I just want her to know how much she means to us, and that during this weird time to just take the time for herself, and just kind of, reminiscing in the amazing times we've had together and looking forward to what's to come.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to It Starts With Mom Live. We have a very special guest, a really good friend of mine, Chriselle Lim. Hi, Chriselle.
Hey. Hi, Jessica. Excited to be here.
Thank you so much for joining us.
I am so excited to be connected with everyone and also you. It's been a while, so excited to catch up.
It's been a while since we saw each other. We were seeing each other almost every day.
I know.
Before quarantine. Well, I'm so excited that you have joined this panel as we are, really trying to figure out and navigate what the new normal is. And as most places are still closed, but even as things start to open up slowly but surely, I think that parents are going to be, cautious as you sort of reintegrate into life, whatever that might mean for you. And I think the normal play spots might be, I don't know, I feel like parents are going to be probably a little bit hesitant to just dive right in and have the same behaviors before this pandemic. So, as far as entertaining kids, I have a 2-year-old who is running. This boy does not stop running, and he's learned how to drop kick, and he drop kicks everything he finds, from an apple to a box to diapers to balls,
to
and everything.
Anything.
And our furniture is his playground. And so, I think also as people are feeling like, do I need to be a teacher? Like, do I need to learn how to educate my kids at home? I just feel like you have figured something out for parents and solutions, and maybe you can talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, sure. I'm with you. It's challenging. I don't have 3 kids, but I do have 2 little ones, one 5-year-old and a 1.5-year-old. So it's been challenging as they're like 2 different types of age groups. I have to kind of educate and homeschool one kid while still entertaining the almost 2-year-old. But yeah, I think the silver lining of this all, as you know, Jessica, I have a startup called Boomo, and we've had to pivot. And it was just a really challenging time just because we just finished raising our round and we were in the middle of a build out. And then we're so excited about this new concept that we're bringing to parents, being able to physically be co-located with their child and be work and to integrate family and work. And then all of a sudden this pandemic happened and everything kind of shut down and we had to pivot. And so what my main pain point was, and I'm sure this was a problem for almost every single parent out there being on lockdown with their child, was that I could barely get anything done. Yet I still had the responsibility to educate, entertain, and engage with my kids. And to be honest, I sucked at it. Like, I really was just I'm not cut out to be a teacher. Yeah. And then her schools, her traditional schools, which she goes to an amazing school, they are retrofitting their traditional school into now a virtual model. And it just wasn't working. There was like 20 kids in a Zoom class talking over each other, and the classes were for like 15, 20 minutes. And if anything, it brought anxiety to my child. And she all of a sudden was so scared of technology because she's never had to interact with people through Zoom before. And so this negative kind of educational experience, we decided to pivot. And because we've been building a curriculum for our physical location, to actually launch it virtually. And
Wow.
it's been insane. We launched the school within like the past 3 weeks, which was not a part of our plan at all. But then I needed it for myself. And then I realized that everyone else that was on lockdown with their kids also needed it as well. So yeah, we built a virtual school in the past few weeks, and it's been insane. There's a lot of learning curves as far as like what kids actually need. And it's not necessarily, you know, games and interaction all the time. It needs to be a good combination of like physical human elements and also a mixture of like educational elements as well. So we've been able to figure out a really great curriculum within the past few months, and we are launched in like 40 different countries now. It's insane.
Yeah, and just if you guys out there don't know, Boomo Parent is Chriselle Lim's new startup company. I have worked with her over the years just about, you know, brainstorming and being more of like a creative sounding board as she has been thinking about starting a business. And when she honed in on this idea of helping parents be the best version of themselves and not have to compromise whether they have to choose between a career or being a parent. And she really felt the desire to not just build a business model and a business around it, but also a community more importantly. And I just love it so much. And you partnered with someone who is already has an online curriculum business and tutor business. And so it actually makes a lot of sense that you were able to pivot so quickly and seamlessly into this new model. And it's so exciting because everyone now has access to your tools. And it takes the pressure off from parents who feel like they have to be these educators when obviously we're not educated. It's a very special life field, and respect to educators because, you know, it takes a certain person who's just great at that and knows how to do that. And that is not my thing. And I can say that. I have so much respect for the educators, let me tell you. So that is amazing.
And I think, like, you know, kind of touching back on the whole topic of going back to what normal is, what the new normal is. And I think everything is going to change from how we work. I mean, all of us, we're all working remotely from home and we're still making things happen. And I think companies are now going to have to rethink like how they're going to position, you know, their staff and like how to actually integrate family more appropriately and just trust that their employees can actually get things done from home. But also with schooling, I think this is an education. It's not going to be the same. I think things are going to change, and, you know, nothing is good about a pandemic, but I think everyone right now is challenged to think differently and really think outside of the box. And hopefully when we go back to our new normal, it's going to be better and more advanced than what we would have ever been challenged to do.
Yeah, I actually haven't even really put that much thought into that subject matter specifically, but just looking at the way that education is across the board in our country, it's so based off of the district and the funding that the school district may have. That really is the quality of the education that your child will have or has access to. In a weird way, if you have access to technology, you're kind of democratizing good, comprehensive education. And that is a very hopeful and optimistic outlook and certainly outcome from something that, you know, for, you know, all intents and purposes has been a very horrible and intense and difficult time for people. I love that we're able in this day with March of Dimes find those glimmers of hope and the light and the positive that we can try and hold on to through this really difficult time.
They were saying
so much for shedding light on that. That's so true. And it's so good. And it's
Yeah.
amazing that you have created Boomo Parent as well to help parents everywhere and really support them.
Thank you. Yeah, they were saying, I read somewhere that if a child cannot read by the time that they're in third grade, the likelihood of them succeeding in life and trying to get an opportunity or a job later down the line, it declines by so much. So getting the proper education early on is so important. But then if you really think about it, like you said, it's so not fair because it all determined by where you live, what district that you're in, how much money you have. So it's just not
Shouldn't be like
how it's, yeah, it doesn't have to be like that now with technology and just being able to have access to it. We have people from India, rural villages emailing us being like, this is a dream come true because we don't have access to the education that we need, but now we can have access to it, even though you guys are all the way across the world. So yeah, it's been exciting.
Really interesting. It's so cool. So what do you think your new normal is going to look like as you sort of see yourself with your girls kind of reemerge into your habits in the world and things like that? Can you see any differences in your behavior already, or?
I do. I think I've been so challenged the past few months, and I'm sure you have too. And I've really realized that I could be so much more productive and so much more focused if I don't have to be physically everywhere. And pre-pandemic, I felt like I was everywhere. I felt like I was doing a million things. And I was driving everywhere. I live in LA, so the commute just like ate up half my day. And so I'm already rethinking, like, do I actually have to go into my office every day? Is that the most productive thing? Is that what my team actually needs? Am I just there just to show face? But what do they actually really need from me right now? It's actually to produce and to create great content and to continue to grow. So I think this time has really challenged me to think of a new way, a new routine, and not really buy into what I was used to doing, because what I was used to doing was burning me out. And I was feeling kind of depleted, to be honest.
Yeah.
So I think this whole past 2 months has re-energized me in a very different way, challenging way, but obviously in a different way. How about you?
Yeah, I mean, same. I think my priorities certainly have been adjusted, and I do believe that the new normal and the steps that we're going to take to just have compassion and think of other people and consider other people and their realities probably more. And that's certainly something that I've been trying to ingrain in Honor and Haven. They're a little bit older, so it's a concept they can wrap their head around. It's just, as you move in the world and the choices you make, it's not just about how it affects you, but it is almost more importantly how it's going to affect other people. And also being so appreciative of everyone who has sacrificed their health and wellness and well-being to make sure that, we stay fed, and that, the people working in agriculture, folks working in grocery stores, folks working in healthcare, distribution centers. There's just so many people that are heroes. And I think we just, we see everyone as a hero and see everyone differently. And I really appreciate being able to have that time and that connection with my girls and let them talk about it as well. With Hayes, I mean, that boy, he's not going to wear a mask. I've tried. I bought a mask. I tried to make it. He rips it right off. I tried the visor. I don't know. I think he's just going to be home for a hot minute, because he can't keep his hands out of any crevice. But pretty much he sees he needs to get right up in there. He licks things. What's he doing? I mean, he's just foul.
What's so funny is that, obviously your girls are a little older now and they understand the concept of like, oh, can I go out and play with my friends? No, you have to stay at home. Whereas with Chloe, she's about 5.5 now. And so I kept asking her, like, do you miss going to school? Do you miss your friends? Like, are you bored at home? And when I asked her that 2 weeks ago, she was like, no. I was like, you don't miss going to gymnastics or swim class? She's like, no, I like it at home. And so for me, that moment was when I was like, okay, I have to rethink how I'm viewing this whole thing. Like, this might bring us as adults a lot of anxiety and a lot of pressure. But to these little ones, all they know is that how much time they're spending with their family, how much extra time, more mommy and daddy time that they're getting that they're so not used to, especially as working parents. And so that's when like kind of the light bulb switch went off for me. I was like, this is fun for her. I should just make it fun for her versus like trying to feel bad and make her feel like, oh, I wish I could do more for you. She's having time for life. So I think that was like
seeing it through their lens is really interesting. Yeah. He is living his very best life right now. And again, we are in a privileged situation in that we can stay home. And I do want to level set and make sure that we are self-aware that is a huge privilege that we are afforded. And so there are many, many folks out there, women right now who are pregnant, who are living in areas where they don't have access to healthcare facilities, and they don't have access to education. They don't have access even to their friends and community in the way that they did have access to them. And it's just it's a harsh reality for a lot of women and a scary time for a lot of women. And I think that's why it's so important that we are doing this with March of Dimes, just to bring about this community and this education and this advocacy that, we all deserve our best chance at having a healthy pregnancy and our best chance at, postpartum and being parents, and that whole journey. We should feel totally supported, and no one should ever feel like they don't have access to the right information at the right time. And so thank you so much for joining this. Because of that, it is such, this, we've talked a lot about pregnancy, but it is, I feel like one of the most vulnerable times in my life. And the community of moms is the thing that I really strongly lean on, even now that my kids are older, but certainly during that pregnancy time.
I think the time right now, it's the time to really just lean into, your community, your girlfriends, your online friends. There's so many women that I personally know that are pregnant during this time, and just the level of anxiety and stress that they're going through, like I can't even imagine. But I think this is great that we're doing this, and March of Dimes is doing this, because there needs to be more awareness around this. And yeah, my heart is out with all the women that are pregnant right now, and especially the ones also that just gave birth.
Yeah. And, you are not alone. I guess if this panel is going to say anything, it's going to say that you are not alone. We are here for you as fellow moms. We've gone through this experience. Every experience is different. There is no perfect way to go through pregnancy, through, your whole birth journey, and then postpartum. There's no ideal way that anyone has ever really figured out, because guess what? We're not robots. What makes this world interesting is that we're all so different. And that's just what makes life so beautiful and wonderful, is that we can learn and take from the best of experiences, and we can share and build community. So we are here.
I have to say, reach out to the women that you never. I think, Jessica, you were one of the the women that I reached out to when I was pregnant, or we connected during that time. And, you know, that was before I got to know you really well. And the fact that like you know, gave me your baby list and like you wanted to help, that really meant so much to me. And, you know, I wasn't sure if I should reach out to you at that time, but I think that showed me. And it's also an example of, you know, it's important to reach out to other people during this time and ask for help. Like us as moms, we want to help other people because we've all gone through this. We're the same kind of people because we've all gone through the same experience.
Yeah.
Postpartum is freaking hard. And moms want to help each other out during this time.
Yep. So we're here for you. We got your back. All right. Thank you so much, Chriselle.
Thank you, Jess, for having me.
Yeah. And we're going to have so many more guests coming up. And thank you for joining this awesome session with Chriselle Lim. Be sure to check out Boomo Parents. And yeah, we are on this. It starts with Mom Live.
Hi, my name is Shilpa Shah, co-founder of Guyana, a sustainable apparel and accessories brand. I'm really honored to be part of this project and to lend our support to women globally. We know what a crazy time this is for moms, new moms, moms with kids at home, those who are expecting, and we think that the power of stories is a really wonderful way for the community to support one another, and I'm happy to share mine. I am 42 years old. I just found out that I was expecting my third last fall unexpectedly. I have two beautiful boys at home, and I'll tell you that this has been an emotional roller coaster. It's been really hard to embrace being pregnant again and often feeling like I'm starting over. However, knowing that there's a whole community of women going through this right now, especially during these challenging times, has really given me the support that I've needed. And I wanted to do the same for others. So for all of you out there, it is really, really hard. It's really challenging, but Guyana's here. Carla and I both really are sending our love and support to you. At the end of this is going to be beautiful children and a beautiful journey of motherhood. And we can't wait to get there with you. We've been long-time supporters of March of Dimes and Every Mother Counts. We're passionate about these issues, and we know that you're not alone in this. We support you, and we are here and rooting for you along the way during these anxious times.